So welcome to a little fun Qigong practice. And we're gonna start with some bouncing. So you can find a place in the room wherever you feel the most comfortable, and you can always change this. You can always sit down or lie down. Do this in your imagination if your body is requesting that. Everything I say is an invitation, and it is up to you to choose and listen to the discernment of your being. So I'm going to begin just with some bouncing, and my feet are about a shoulder width apart. My knees are loose and relaxed. I want to really make sure I'm supporting my knees right now. So I've got my feet both pointing forward. Often, especially in sort of a Western United States culture, we have our toes pointed out a little bit, and generally the energy will be sort of more undisciplined, or at least undiscerned in its interaction when we're doing that. And so for the first year and a half or so that I practiced Jen and Qigong from Kokolulu on the island of Hawaii, I would practice with my toes pointing inwards. And that is to balance that effect of the enculturation into that splaying of energy. But we really want to be kind to our knees. So sometimes pointing the toes in is not good for the knees. And so we want to make sure that's the priority, is allowing the body to bend in the way that it feels good bending. And allowing everything to start to relax even more. And we should have all of the places where there is fat and muscle on the body, they should be really bouncing right now. Allowing the arms to flop around a little bit, and the neck to soften, and the jaw to relax, maybe more than the jaw has relaxed in a long time. Yeah, really feeling that there are places in the face and the little muscles on the skull and the neck and around the eyes and the nose and the mouth, really able to relax in a new way now. And usually when we do this, we might even begin to sweat just a little bit, and that is really good. There are many different kinds of toxins that we pick up as we move through the world, in the air, in the water, in the food, in the sound, in the emotion, in the mentality, in the psychic landscape. And we process these toxins, and it is very helpful to sweat a little bit, because the body is able to release these toxins, especially when we do this bouncing. So my teacher Thomas says, just 20 minutes a day. And I think that's funny because it seems like a lot at first, and then as I have begun to do this every morning, I have really felt for myself that this is so necessary to give my body the opportunity to get some of the toxins out, because how else are they going to get out? When we see little children, they're always bouncing. And they do big bounces, and they do little bounces, and they do floppy bounces. And they're always bouncing all the time. They bounce on the bike, they bounce off the bike, they bounce up a tree, they bounce around the house, and they're constantly allowing their whole body to jiggle and shake and move. And we can lift our arms up now. I remember being a part of watching the Master of Qi conference with Spring Forest Qigong and many different Qigong practitioners, and there was a little old lady who led one of the breaks in between one of the talks, and she had us all bouncing like this, and she said, okay, now we're going to sing a song as we're bouncing together. She said, every day I sing this song and I do my bouncing, and that's how I've lived for so long. And it's true that this can really help with a longevity of life and vitality. And she sang us 5'2" Eyes of Blue all the way through as we all bounced. It was the sweetest thing. And whenever we're ready, we can allow the arms to flop down. And we're gonna turn the body side to side now, allowing the arms and the hands to just gently hit against the body. And as we turn to look behind us, look for a brief moment, look as far as you can behind you. And open your eyes at that furthest point. This is really good for the brain, really good for opening the mind. Looking just a little bit farther each time, a new spot way around behind you. And then closing the eyes the rest of the time. And there's no wrong way to do Qigong. There's only good, better, and best. So there is no need to worry about doing this any way but the perfect way that you are already doing. And coming back to center, we're going to begin with just balancing the weight on the feet. So the front, the back, either side. Noticing the distribution of weight. Bending the knees a little bit. And allowing the toes to come into alignment. We would not want the knees to go over in front of the toes. The knees should be parallel with the toes, up and down, or a little bit behind them. But we can allow the knees to bend a little bit. And as we do, bringing an awareness to the pelvis. And there is a point at the bottom of the pelvis between the genitals and the anus called Wei Yin, and it's the perineum. And the reason I mention this point is because it's very important, and it's a part of the body that we often push away or push down, and it's really our throne. It is the place where we are most intimately connected with the Earth center, the literal electromagnetic field of the planet Earth, and also the center of the planet Earth, which is very important energetic connection to just maintain an awareness of as we walk through the world and we ground into presence slowly. So bringing awareness to the pelvis, we just allow it to move, begin to have a fluidity in the hips, just moving how it feels good. And noticing that we can rock the pelvic floor forwards or backwards. It's like we have a bowl here, and we can tilt the bowl backwards or we can tilt the bowl forwards. And let's just tilt the bowl forwards now. And what happens when we do that is the tailbone tucks in just 1/4 of an inch or so, just a little bit. And this space in the lower back, it expands. So this is another important point. It's called Mingmen, and it's also called the gateway of life, or heaven's gate. And it's really the point at the small of the back, opposite the navel. And the reason this is important is because oftentimes people will develop a lower back pain later in their life, and will often walk around with this area of the spine very much compressed. And so we want to begin as early as we can in life, consciously opening and expanding this space, especially these vertebrae right here. And so as we continue to move our awareness up the body, we have the lower dantian, an area deep behind the navel. Now, I personally think of this as my womb space, as a womb-having person. Traditionally, the Qigong lineage that I have studied, Jenin Qigong, is relatively male-dominated, and so I wouldn't expect to have heard that term. But one of the things I'm studying as I major in healing chronic illness through the integration of Western biomedicine and traditional holistic medicine practices is looking into how the womb ties into traditionally patriarchal healing modalities. So I'm just presenting that for you as my unique perspective on this practice. Regardless, the lower dantian is an energy center deep behind the navel, between Mingmen and Duqi, the navel. And as we continue to move the awareness up, we come to the middle dantian, the heart center, and we bring an awareness to the heart center, expanding the shoulders. Bai Hui, the crown of the head, hold up as if there's a string connecting to the heavens high above. Expanding the heart center as we relax the shoulders. Bringing awareness into the mouth, the tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth, behind the top front row of teeth. This completes the heavenly orbit, the channels, the meridians that go up the body and down the body, and they meet, they connect, the back channel and the front channel, they connect right at the mouth, the roof of the mouth and the tip of the tongue. So when we connect these points, we are creating a full orbit called the small universe inside the body. And we smile, remembering the acronym, start my internal love engine. Feeling the feeling of feeling good. Feeling how good it can feel to feel good. If that is what your body is pulling into your awareness now, is allowing into your awareness now. And if not, that's okay too. Widening the space between the eyebrows. And listen to a sound far, far away. Noticing the breath easily and effortlessly filling the body, and how when you notice the breath, perhaps it begins to expand, exhaling a little bit deeper, inhaling just a hair further. And if it begins to feel uncomfortable, go back to what you were doing. It's okay. Just noticing what it's like to play with that. And whenever you'd like, scanning the awareness back up the body again. Remembering those points and bringing whatever adjustment feels good. Playing with it, all the possibilities. So now we begin to move the hands forward, the palms facing the earth. And we begin to float the hands forward and back. Imagining waves on the beach washing over the shore. carrying your hands and noticing the center of each palm. This is a point called Lao Gong, and you can find it by putting the middle finger down, and it's that central point in the palm. When you touch, that's it. And so these energy centers, when we do Qigong, we begin to bring our awareness there. And when we move Qi like this, we open the palms, activating those centers by gently stretching the fingers out to all the edges that are possible for the fingertips to stretch to. Just gently opening. And now we're going to scoop up this Qi, and the middle fingers are pointing towards the lower dantian, as if we're holding a tree in front of us. Hugging the trunk, we imagine a light from the middle fingers going into the lower dantian. Filling this space. And the palms come towards the body and gently come around the body. And Lao Gong palms are going to mirror Mingmen. So we are creating a reflective triangulation with the palms and with Mingmen. Simply sending the energy in to the lower dantian from Mingmen. And this practice is fluid. We can always move and shift and wiggle around a little bit. It is not a rigid practice. And drawing the hands up, middle fingers press underneath the armpits, a few fingers down, maybe where a bra line would be. There is a very tender spot. So we move around a little bit till we find it. Sending the Qi with the middle fingers into the heart center. This is the best way to access the heart center. From side to side, sending the Qi through the whole body. And relaxing down, lifting Qi up. Middle fingers point towards Intan, the space between the two eyebrows. Sending the Qi into Intan, also called the third eye, where we develop our psychic abilities. Washing the whole brain, the clean, the clear, and bright, so that all functions are normal. Illuminating the space inside of the skull. Allowing a gentle focus to come into this place and expanding with each breath. And relaxing with each exhale. And opening the palms out, Lao Gong palms facing the earth, either side of the body. These energy centers in the palms literally emit an electromagnetic field, just like the heart, just like the brain, just like the human body, and just like the planet Earth. And these fields of energy interact with each other, and they can interact harmoniously, or they can interact in a disharmony. And when we relax into an awareness of their presence, they come into a coherent rhythm with each other. And so the Lao Gong palms now Gently allow in the electromagnetic field of the planet Earth, knowing that we are held inside of this field of energy all the time, no matter where we go. And relaxing down, imagining the fingers trailing through the soil, through the many layers of dirt in the earth, and lifting up Qi from this massive object that we are upon, raising it high above the head, condensing into an orb of light, like a small planet above you. And when you are ready, allow the palms to tilt down and allow the Qi to wash through the whole central channel of the body, washing the whole body clean, clear, and bright. All functions are normal. Pouring like a waterfall, opening the bottoms of the feet, Yung Chuen, bubbling wells, to allow the Qi to pour back through into the earth, cleansing and clarifying the body. And gently the palms come together above the head, stretching up with little space between all bones, all the fascia, the connective tissue, opening and expanding. And gently relaxing as the Laogong palms come together down the midline of the body, over the face and the throat, the heart, and coming to rest at the solar plexus. This position is called Hershe hands, prayer hands position. Feeling that crown of the head and the back of the neck pulled up, shoulders relaxing, tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth. Start my internal love engine as a gentle smile opens. Just allowing the breath to move easily and effortlessly. There's no need to even do it consciously. The body knows how to breathe. Bending the knees and opening Mingmen, the small of the back, as the tailbone gently drops. Playing with these sensations and feeling the breath go into the places where there is tightness, where there is pain. Breathing the breath into this space, perhaps imagining a light flowing in, expanding with the inhale, relaxing with the exhale. And gently bringing the palms together up over the head again. And stretching up into blue sky. And relaxing down, Laogong palms facing the earth, either side of the body. Giving and receiving in a symbiotic relationship with this maternal figure, this holding of our body, no matter where and how we fall, always to the earth. Always. We are held and we reach our long fingers, imagining them going through the whole planet and gathering, like the mycelium gather, the nutrients and minerals necessary. As we raise up the palms now and point the middle fingers towards Intan between the two eyebrows. Illuminating and expanding this space. Washing the brain clean, clear, and bright. All functions are normal. And moving the palms around the head, gently pressing the base of the skull. There's a small notch in the occipital ridge. This is called Yu Qin. Sending the qi back through the brain, washing the brain clean, clear, and bright. As the literal brain relaxes, feeling the breath coming here now, expanding and relaxing. The little muscles around the temples just seem to relax now. As the jaw might drop open, and the cells breathe deeply. And tracing the middle fingers, pointing down the spine, sending qi down the spine, and reaching around the shoulders and up the back, sending qi up to connect with the qi you just sent down. Tracing the fingers down the spine and gently pressing Ming Men, remembering the lower back, our friend, Heaven's Gate, opening and expanding as we bend the knees. And the tailbone gently tucks in as that bowl, the pelvis, the throne, rocks with fluidity. Sending the qi into the lower dantian. Tracing the fingers around the waist, coming to duchi, the navel. Sending the qi into the lower dantian from duchi. Releasing this point, reaching far and wide, stretching as far as you can now, either side of the body, and reaching up into blue sky, into the universes, connecting and gathering and allowing all this qi to come over the head and gently bringing it down and allowing it to float down. Laogong palms in front of the face and the head. Moving the palms forward and back in front of the face. Fingertips opening and the center of the palm expanding. Gently floating the hands down the front of the body. Laogong palms facing the body, all the organs, clean, clear, and bright. All functions are normal. And the middle fingers gently pressing duchi, the navel. We're going to gently rub the belly now, sending all this good energy of healing and relaxation into the gut. We like to do it 9 times in both directions, and switching whenever you'd like to. And if you lose count, that's okay. And now we're going to do lucia-Qigong. This is no longer Jenin Qigong. And this is a song that I wrote for myself with the help of Larissa Kant, one of my Qigong teachers. And she asked me, how do you keep all this good energy inside your body after your practice? And I was like, I don't know, actually. And so she helped me to develop this. And so we're going to pat the whole body or rub, whatever feels better, as we sing the song. And you're welcome to join in if you know it in your own Zoom bubble. Sacred Qi, holy Qi, stay in me, heal me. Sacred Qi, holy Qi, stay in me, heal me. intelligent membrane, by an invisible membrane. I am surrounded by an intelligent membrane, by an invisible membrane. Into this membrane, only love may enter. Within this membrane, only love remains. Feeling the buzzing and tingling as I come in contact with my body. There is a vibration here. A vibration of taking the time to love myself. A vibration of being with what is. And opening to accept this body exactly as it shows up in the world. And finally, I usually say some kind words to myself here. I love you, Lucia. You're doing a good job. You're doing okay. I'm doing really good. I'm grateful for you. You're gonna be okay. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm so grateful to be in this body, in this life. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Being strong, for taking care of yourself, for being open to love, to know you are guided, you are safe. And we come back into Heartstrong hands as we bring to mind all the teachers. These can be any teachers, any people in our life who have helped us to be where we are today. Circumstances, environment, synchronicity. Can we bring some faces, some places into our mind? Imagining before me just some of my teachers to symbolize so many teachers. All of life, my teacher. And I bow to all my teachers, and I'm going to say how la. How means already, and la means good. So we say, or how means good, and la means already. And so we're saying already good, and we're bowing to our teachers. To all my teachers, how la. And then we send it up and out to the whole consciousness and relaxing down, coming back to the lower dantian. That is the end of this little mini Qigong practice today. So thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon.